right, call the regular City Commission meeting of July 13th in order. First off is invocation and pledge allegiance led by Commissioner Gay.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you this evening for this opportunity to come together as a community, discuss the issues of our city, and compare ideas as to how to deal with these situations. We ask for your guidance, we ask for your wisdom, and we ask for your patience as we go about dealing with these significant situations that we have to deal with. I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call.
Commissioner Gay?
Here.
Commissioner Nemechek?
Here.
Commissioner Thompson?
Here.
Commissioner View?
He's excused.
Okay, and Mayor Bostwick.
Here. All right, next will be public comment on the agenda items only. That will be on tonight's agenda. And anyone who wishes to speak will have 3 minutes. They just state their name and address for the record. So whenever anyone wants to go up to the podium. Only on what's on this agenda is the first part.
My name is Ken Levine. I live at 2722 South Hill Road, Gladstone. I think we got this on the agenda tonight about the compost. First of all, I'd like to thank the city manager and Mark over there, city employees, and all the whatever volunteers we got left for doing a damn good job up there. If any of you has been up there and seen it, you know it's well kept. Now what we need from you is to approve this stuff so that in case we have to call the police that they can enforce it. Because if you don't, when you call a police officer and the contractor there dumps it and he dumps it right in front of a police officer, he can't do nothing about it. So I don't know what you're going to do. I know one thing. I worked as much as 48 hours in there and I can't do it no more. I need more help, either more volunteers or you got to get somebody in there to do the job. Everybody comes by and stops and tells us, finally Gladstone's doing something right. And it looks so good in here. In fact, I could come here and have a picnic. That's what one guy told me. And I think he's just kidding, but I don't know what he's going to do, but something's got to be done about this if we want to keep it. If you don't want to keep it, you want to go back to the garbage dump again, that's what'll happen. Because the minute you're not there, last week, I went to the bathroom. I come out and there's a pickup truck in there with drywall, all kinds of crap, and he was going to dump it. I walked up to him. I says, what are you going to do with that? He said, well, I was going to dump it. I said, this is not a solid waste dump. It's a compost pile. You can't bring that here. You got to bring it to Delta County. He says, okay, fine. He left. But, you know, the place is looking good and it should stay that way. Especially all of us that work so many hours trying to get it done. The manager, Mark, and them both have done a lot to help us get where we're at. And I think it should still go on that way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Levine.
Thanks for all your help, Ken.
Anyone else? All right. Next then is the consent agenda, City Commission regular minutes of June 22nd, the Town Hall meeting of June 23rd, Parks and Rec meeting of June 2nd, and payment of bills.
I move approval.
Support.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Nemechek and support by Commissioner Gay to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up is the sale of land, the ball field property.
Been in communication with Attorney Don Bacon on this one. We still have not heard back from the State of Michigan Attorney General's office. So at this time, my recommendation would be to, not act on this parcel until we hear from the State of Michigan.
It could be quite a period of time before we hear something from the state. I've been involved with the city manager.
I can't hear. Could you speak up a little bit, please?
I've been involved with this particular piece of property since the beginning, and it's probably going to take some time before we have some information back from the state of Michigan regarding what we could or couldn't do with this piece of property. So really, we don't have anything to report. We can't specifically table this until a certain date because we don't know when that's going to be, when we'll have some sort of information to discuss. So I guess no action needs to be taken on this particular item. Or do we need to
If you take no action, it will continue to show up until you do something with it. So you can table it to a specific time. You can, something has to be done with it.
I would move that we table this to, let's see,
August 10th?
that's what I was looking for. I would say August 10th. Ma'am, what I said was, I made a motion that we table this item until August 10th.
What item, the ball
The
park?
ball field property, yes.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the other one.
I'll second that motion.
All right, got a motion by Commissioner Gay and support by Commissioner Thompson to table the ball field property until August 10th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is the sale of the land of the Minneapolis Avenue, the paved portion of Boardwalk area.
Do you want me to do this one, or would you like to?
We received a letter from, sorry, from Attorney Don Bacon on this parcel. He reviewed the grant agreement for the paved portion of the boardwalk that runs through this parcel. And in his opinion, due to the grant agreement at this time, we are recommending that this not be added to the list of property, city property for sale. If we do anything with that paved portion, we would have to pay the grant agency back $45,000. There's a 20-year, basically, time limit on that grant, and it was constructed in 2004. So we would have till 2024 before any of those restrictions went off of that parcel, so.
I move that we remove this parcel from consideration.
Support?
All right, got a motion by Commissioner Nemechek and a support by Commissioner Gay to remove the sale of land, Minneapolis Avenue. Is there any discussion before we vote?
Just for the benefit of the public, we're looking at our options, and that's what this entire process was about. The city commission was not looking to sell up lakefront property. We were looking at what we could do in the event that we had to. The fact that people got riled up and not having the information, it's frustrating, but again, we're looking and continue to look at all of our options in the event that we get, we have to do something with some of our assets. So that's basically what this is about, and other items may come up in the future as well, so.
All right, any other comments? All right, then all those in favor of removing this parcel from consideration, vote aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up will be the financing of the fire truck. Kim?
This is more of a clerical thing, as you discussed at the June 8th meeting, you discussed a lot about the new fire truck. There was a motion that was made to authorize that purchase of the new fire truck, and I had stated the motion in your packet there. There was a lot of discussion before, during, and after the motion regarding the financing of that fire truck. However, upon review of the meeting and the video, it was not stated in the motion to what funding to use with that general fund, electrical fund. So in order to, officially move forward with the financing of that, we need that in a form of a motion from the commission to be able to take the funds to pay for that. So it's a kind of a clerical thing. You've already authorized the purchase, but I would need a motion authorizing the finance. And from the discussion that I could glean from that meeting and the video is that it was intended to come from the electrical fund, but that was not stated at the motion and at the time. It was only at the discussion portion. So I need it in a form of a motion.
I move that we authorize financing the purchase of the new fire truck from the electric fund.
Support.
All right, got a motion by Commissioner Thompson and support by Commissioner Gay.
I have no comment.
Right,
Okay.
going to go through this. To finance the purchase of the new fire truck from the electric fund. Any discussion?
It's my understanding that if the regular general fund got into serious considerations that I'm afraid it's going to be, we could access money from the electric fund to help bail that out. But we can't finance, we can finance a fire truck, but we can't finance loans to or money to the general fund. We have to do that with, I'm looking at possible sources when the general fund gets in the negative territory. Where can we get money to help the general fund?
I guess I'm confused. I mean, what would?
Well, we have an electric fund that we were told has $1.5 million is supposedly the minimum we want that to be, and right now I assume it's somewhere over $2 million. So we have this money that could be used to help bail out the general fund.
In the event, yeah, the commission.
But if we use some of that 300 and whatever that figure is for the fire truck, if we take that out of there for the fire truck, that's money we don't have to help bail out the general fund.
Correct.
I'm concerned for that when we could finance the fire truck and save that cushion in the electric fund for bailing out the general fund.
Well, if we take the money out of there and lend it to buy the fire truck, we still have to pay it back. It'll still be gone.
Not if we finance the fire truck, we have monthly payments.
Well, we're making them to ourselves.
I understand that, but the core amount, the 350, or they talk about the total being over 500,000, take it out of the fire, it's gone. It's not in the electric fund. And within 3, 4, or 5 years, we may want to have that money in the electric fund to help bail out the general fund.
Where would you propose that financing occur?
Local bank.
It's my understanding. Can we do that?
Sure.
Without a vote of the people, we can indebt the people?
Well, we've got a lot of collateral there.
It's called
I'm
a
just
triple
concerned
net
if we
lease.
take all
There's
this money
agreement
out of
between
that
the
fund,
three parties.
we're not gonna have it to help bail out the general fund.
The company that's making the fire truck too offers financing as well. Do you remember Director Geyer mentioning that at the meeting?
That's my concern. And, I know the general fund's gonna be negative, but I don't know how much,
Did
but
we-
I know it's gonna be over $1 million.
Did we, I know we discussed this as an option. We discussed this as an option, when we initially started talking about the fire truck, did we not? Do you recall any of the specifics on that?
Well, we talked about if you finance it through a local financial institution or the company that's building the truck, it's 3, 4, 5%, whatever it is. We're making less than 1% on our money. Loans, if we loaned, in the past, we've loaned the campground money we're paying the electric fund back at 2%, more than what we're making, you know, investing our money locally. It's the difference in the interest rate, but the discussion at the June 8th meeting was using $351,000 to buy the fire truck, period, no paying the electric fund back.
Right. Have we made a payment to the truck, or to the company for the chassis yet? I thought we
Yeah,
had.
yeah.
And where did that come from? Was that was part of the
Electric fund.
previous? Oh, that was from the electric fund?
I believe so, that's, remember the,
Because I know we.
it might have been the
I know-
general fund, because in this fiscal year's budget, we
That's
transferred
right.
50,000 from the electric fund to the general
Yep,
fund to make
okay.
the $50,000 down payment.
That's what I thought, okay, but we do,
So-
Director Geyer laid out a timeline when there were additional
Right.
payments due.
Yep, yep.
And if I could clarify, the motion that's on the table is to use electric fund cash as a loan with a payback, or just to use it to buy straight out? Because your discussion kind of led a different way.
Well, my motion was to pay for it.
Just to pay for it, okay, thank you.
I think it's a mistake. I think it's irresponsible.
We'd be looking at a higher interest rate with either the company or a bank, but we know we could get financing.
Yeah.
That wouldn't
I'm
be
sure
an
we could.
issue.
No.
But at the same time, the general fund's gonna have a payment of X number of dollars.
I understand that, but it's going to be stretched out over 30 years,
Can we finance it for 30 years?
20
15
years.
probably?
I thought they had
It
mentioned
would help,
15.
our problem, our immediate problem over the next 5, 6, 7
Cash
years
flow.
is cash flow.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And I think it's irresponsible to take that much cash out of the electric fund when we will probably need it to mend the general fund, to try to keep the general fund afloat.
The only thing I would say about that is when Mark reevaluates the, I don't know if we'll have anything available in the electric fund once they reevaluate the status of it and what they need as a reserve either.
I don't think we have any choice. I think it can be evaluated till the cows come home, but I think that we're gonna have to take money out of that to survive. I think the fund balance is gonna go way below $1 million. It has to, because we paid $600,000 into that pension fund this year, and it goes in 1 year to over $1 million. That's $400,000 just 1 year.
Not till 20.
Now, either side of that is gonna be 300 and some thousand, so now you're $1 million. And that doesn't count the years before that. It's a bell curve. I would guess that the money amount, the general fund, without any new revenues, is gonna be somewhere between $1 and $2 million in the hole. And I think it's irresponsible to take this much money out of the electric fund to buy a fire truck. I think we should finance it. We need the fire truck, I don't question that. I mean, our old truck can't even make it up the hill. I think we should finance it, that's all. That's all I can tell you.
We've already authorized, obviously, purchasing the fire truck.
Committed to it now, we gotta pay for it.
When, do you have a schedule of when the next payment's due?
I don't have that, but it's now. I mean, it's, he's gotta have an answer to know where it's coming from.
It's not gonna be built for a year.
They had a
there's down
schedule.
payments,
They had a
so-
schedule of
I
multiple
mean,
payments.
it's scheduled payments, I know that, yeah. But in a year's time, it's gonna be here and has to be paid for.
Would you be interested in amending your motion?
Sure.
My thought was approve the payment that's immediately due, and then.
The 50,000?
Well, whatever.
It's already been made, isn't it?
No, there's another one due soon, if I remember correctly. Approve that coming out of the electric fund and then finance the balance.
I guess I'd have to know.
I don't know
How
what
big
the
the
numbers
next
are,
payment
that's
is,
the
and
only
I-
problem.
I guess I'd really want to know how much this general fund's going to go in the hole, but I guess we won't know that till tomorrow.
I
Paul
mean,
was planning on being here tonight, but he's not, he's homesick, so.
What if we amend the motion to make the next payment on the electric fund and then
And we,
get details on financing so we can reevaluate it and see
the next,
which way we want to go?
Sure. bring
that's not
interest
going
rates
to
back.
be due before the next meeting,
Well, if it's-
before the next commission meeting. We could table that.
I wouldn't be opposed to tabling it till the next meeting. I mean, we know we're gonna buy the truck.
Okay.
Let's just look at it. You know, I wouldn't be opposed to tabling it till the next meeting. If you're interested in amending your motion, I'd support that.
Yep.
Okay, I
You're gonna
got
have
two
to
different
verbalize
versions
it,
of
though.
amendments going on here.
We'll amend the motion to table this until we get more information and make a better decision
And table it to the next meeting?
to the next meeting.
Okay.
I'll support that.
Okay, we got a motion to table the financing of the fire truck to the next meeting, the July 27th. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is the millage bond request.
The reason I put this on the agenda tonight is by August 11th, the Delta County Clerk needs the approved language to go on the November ballot. So that's about a month. And I've had email communication from Miller Canfield. They work on the language portion. Edward Jones works on the millage rate and finance portion of it. What am I asking them to prepare for us? Is it for the capital outlay items that we've had 3 town hall meetings on so far?
My thought on it is, we know we need to ask the question, at least I feel we need to ask the question. Basically, we're not gonna know exactly what the number is until the city manager gets with, Edward Jones on the number, on the amount.
Yep.
But if we have to have language by August 11th, we need to move on this.
We can have a draft by July 27th, still have 2 weeks to amend it before August 10th.
I don't think we're prepared to do this until we know where we are with the general fund. I think we may be asking for millage for the general fund. Might be a higher priority than some of the things we've been talking about. I'm very concerned about the general fund.
That's the I mean, the
That's
whole
survival,
point, that's
right.
the whole point of the town halls, that's what we've been discussing, is
I know, but
essentially everything's general fund.
I know, but the numbers we were looking at weren't correct. So we really don't know.
It isn't good, we know that much.
I know
you
it's not good. It's a lot worse than what was portrayed, and I think until we know what that is, I don't think we can make a decision on going full bore with all the items we talked about. We may be asking for.
Well, what you're talking about is a Headley override.
I'm talk-
If you're asking for an additional millage for the general fund, you'd be talking a Headley override,
Whatever you want to call it.
because that's different than a bond proposal.
I understand that. I know it's directly asking for millage is my
Right.
understanding, and
Yeah.
I think we would be irresponsible not to have that and maybe have 2 items on the ballot. If we need to have an additional 2 mills to survive, to me, that's more important to know before we start turning all this over to people with their clocks running.
Well, we definitely know we're gonna ask a question. So at minimum, we should at least start the process of, having them prepare the language. The certain numbers, whatever that language may be, can be added at a later date.
Okay.
You think? I mean, I don't want to get to 2 weeks before the deadline.
Yeah, I know.
And we can't, then we can't do anything in November.
Okay.
That's my biggest concern,
All right.
so.
Isn't there really 3 areas that we're talking about, though? I mean, the operational millage at the 15.5, then there's the capital outlay items that we've been talking about, then there's the pension obligation.
Yeah, there's 3 items, but all we've talked about primarily in the town halls is the capital outlay items. I mean, we've discussed, fund balance, that type of thing, expenditures, flat revenue, but we haven't, we have not talked about a Headley override.
No.
Only thing we've talked about is a bond proposal, and that's for capital purchases only, so we haven't even.
So do you remember, we originally thought the question was gonna be, will you support a millage for 1, 2, 3, 4? When we got with Miller Canfield, they said, no, it's actually, the question's gonna be, will you support levying X millage for these capital outlay items?
Correct.
I don't know what the language,
The language for a Headley override is gonna be a completely different question.
right.
As Dave stated, you would have more than one ballot question, for sure.
Correct.
So. And I'm sure if we ask for 2 sets of languages, two sets of language, that's gonna cost us twice as much from Miller Canfield, I would assume.
No, they'll create the language. It's if the answer's yes, then the money, then the fees come in when they actually do the bonds and all that stuff.
But one wouldn't be a bond. Headley override
That
wouldn't be a bond.
no.
It'd just be straight
Right.
millage.
I would move that we approve the city manager to move forward with Miller Canfield and on ballot language and Edward Jones on the proposed millage rate needed to cover the capital items. And I would like to, in discussion with Miller Canfield, I would like to have, as soon as possible, a report as to what would be needed for a Headley override, language on a Headley override. And does that have, this is a question for the clerk, but does that have the same deadline as, okay, so.
Anything on the ballot.
Anything on the ballot's August 11th.
August 11th.
So at least we have an idea of what we're in for if we were to ask a Headley override.
So you're asking for both millage, both languages?
We're asking for the bond proposal and for information on what it would take to
Do the Headley override?
Headley override, yeah.
I would
So-
second that. The crazy part about this is we talk about language with Miller Canfield. That's something somebody could do in a half hour,
Yeah, but
And we talk about determining the millage rate with Edward Jones. That's something you could do in about 15 minutes. This is crazy.
Disagree.
I think the numbers on that, on the millage, on the bond are far more complicated than
That
that.
may well be, but they do that every day. Anyway,
But keep in mind, they probably bill at about $400 an hour.
I
so-
understand that. I understand.
They only
that.
bill by the hour, not the
I
half hour
understand.
day.
I understand.
So,
I think it's super important to have that
All right,
override language.
so we got a motion and by Commissioner Gay and the support by Commissioner Nemechek to have Miller Canfield and Edward Jones work up language for a proposed bond and,
Capital
and
items.
for capital items.
And necessary language that would be needed for a Headley override.
Correct.
Is what I got.
Is that right?
yeah, further discussion.
Okay, any further discussion?
The only thing, this is not an approval for Headley override.
No, you'd have to.
We,
you'd have
we're,
to-
once they get the information, they have to bring it back, and then we're gonna have to approve that as well,
So
so.
it's just about a language.
It's
right
just
now.
about getting started with the language, so just for the benefit, again, of the community and the rest of the commission, we're gonna have to look at this again and say yes or no, we're not, yes, we are, or no, we're not gonna answer the question,
Yes, I understand.
so,
It's the
Okay.
same thing with the other one, the amount.
yeah.
How
We don't
long
know
do you
that
think
for
it would
sure either.
take them? By the next meeting?
I'll
would
have
they?
drafts by
Oh.
July 27th.
July 27th, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up will be the MMRMA RAP grant, equipment portion for patrol vehicle. Petition.
Paul's not with us tonight, so MMRMA, that's Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority, that's the insurance company for the city. They have RAP grants, risk avoidance program options for us to apply for. Paul forgot to apply for one portion of the new patrol vehicle. Budgeted item is $500. If we're successful with the grant, it knocks $250 off. This is what they fund, so I don't see why they would say no, but we need commission approval to apply.
Also moved.
Support?
Commissioner Nemecheck made a motion and support by Commissioner Gay to approve the RAP grant request for the equipment partition for the new patrol vehicle. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is the 2015 CEW taser replacement.
Same situation here, MMRMA RAP grant. We're looking to replace 6 tasers that the officers carry. Total cost of the project is $8,868.95. Looking for MMRMA to cover 2,400 of that. They would cover up to 400 per device. Would mean the city's cost would be $6,468.95 coming from the Olson Trust that was left for the police department. This is exactly what that money was left for, equipment needed for the department. Again, this is what they fund, so
I'd move that we approve the application of the MMRMA grant and, if successful, approve the purchase of 6 tasers utilizing Olson Trust funds. Support.
Motion by Commissioner Gay, support by Commissioner Thompson to approve the application of the MMRMA grant and approve the purchase of 6 tasers utilizing Olson Trust funds. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is the Vector truck purchase.
Back in March of this year, myself and Dan, I call him Dan the mechanic, Dan our mechanic, and we started searching for a replacement for our existing Vector truck. Our existing Vector truck was a 1984, so we had 31 good, well, it's a 1984. We purchased it under the same type agreement through Duhaney's in 92, so we had the truck for over 25 years. 24, I didn't do the math. Anyway, we've purchased a number of things from Duhaney over the years, and we've worked with them. They're the supplier of Vector trucks for the Midwest, located just outside of Detroit. And so we started shopping on Truck Trader. We didn't want to buy a new one because the new one is $325,000. We couldn't afford that. I looked at the option of having Tunnel Vision come over. They have 2 trucks, but they're more than happy to come over here, but they have so much work, especially with the grants that they're working on right now, that they're out of town 90% of the time, and if we had a sewer backup, we would have nobody to call back. In the meantime, we had to call Escanaba a couple times. And we back up Escanaba, and they back up us, so that works out good. Anyway, Dan and I went through Truck Trader on eBay and Duhaney. We pretty much knew what kind of truck we wanted. We wanted it older than a 2009 because that's when all the pollution control stuff went on the diesels, which they're having a lot of problems with the newer trucks with. And this is the truck we finally ended up with. Dan and Adam Zimmerman went down to Detroit and picked it up and drove it back. And we've been working this snot out of it for over a month between DPW, the water, and the wastewater crews. I think we've cleaned more sewers in the last month than we have in the last 4 years, and cut a lot of them, so we're sitting pretty well. Duhaney, the company we're working with, we've purchased our the last truck and our trailer. Before that, we had an O'Brien Marauder. It was for cleaning sewers back in the older days, and we purchased our street sweeper from them. The new truck is a little bigger than our old truck. This has tandem axle. We wanted to get the single axle, but they're hard to find. And the good thing about this is that you look at the spec sheet I gave you. It's got a larger hopper for the Vactor part. The old one was 8 cubic yards. Now we have 15 cubic yards. It's really nice when you dump the truck. It has a flush system that flushes all the waste out of the back of the truck. The pipe racks, instead of having to jump up on a ladder and pull the pipe racks, are mounted and they fold down. Really nice for the guys for hooking the pipes up for the Vactor assembly. One of the nice things that I really like about it, it's got a 1,500 gallon water capacity, and they're aluminum water tanks. Our old one was 500 gallon, and it was steel, and it was pretty much held together with Bondo and bubble gum. It was leaking so bad. I was 30 years old, so we won't have to worry about that. The vacuum system itself has a John Deere 6-cylinder diesel engine. The hydraulic boom that the Vactor works off on the front is it's telescoping. It goes in and out, so you don't have to perfectly line up the manhole like we did with the old one. And it's controlled with a joystick. The high pressure pump for the sewer cleaning apparatus is 80 gallons per minute at 2,500 psi, and it also has a 12 gallon per minute cold water recirculating system, so we can use it in the wintertime without worrying about it freezing. The hose reel, our old hose reel had 400 feet. Now we have 800 feet of 1-inch sewer hose, brand new sewer hose on the front. The thing the guys really like is it has the automatic hose leveling wind. The old one, you'd have to reel in the hose and guide it by hand. This automatically does it, so you don't have to endanger your hand. It's got portable light hookups on the front and back, and all aluminum toolboxes. There's 3 of them, 3 big ones, and mileage was 60,000, and the hours, we were looking for something with less than 10,000 hours, and this one bit under our spec. And it I budgeted $225,000 for this truck, and so we'll be saving money and getting this one for $165,000 with a 1-year warranty from Duhaney. So originally, through the budget, I had we were going to use $100,000 of the Section 19 grant, and get us, the wastewater department was going to get a $75,000 loan, and water was going to put $50,000 because we use this truck for hydro excavation. Also, the street departments will be using it too for storm sewers, and like the other day, they were trying to get a tree root system out of the boulevard that had 2 gas lines under it, and they hydro excavated it out, so it saved a lot of time. So instead of the 300, well, brand new one is about 325,000. The budget at 225, and the way I had it set up with the Section 19, instead we'll pay bring it down to 165. We'll spend 100,000 from of the grant money and 16,000 from the wastewater fund balance and 50 from the water fund balance, so we'll just purchase it outright. Any questions? I have the truck is parked right outside here if anybody wants to. I won't give a demonstration with women and kids around because we might lose them.
I move approval.
Support.
All right, got motion by Commissioner Nemechek and support by Commissioner Gay to purchase a truck for $165,000. The Vector truck. Any discussion?
Again, for the benefit of the public, this is not coming from, as Eric said, this is not coming from the general fund. It's water, wastewater, and grant dollars. Most of it's grant dollars that Eric has been able to secure. And thank you for saving money.
Our old truck, we will be, I was suggested to get the rotor pump needs to be rebuilt, and there's a bunch of small things wrong with it. But there are a couple contractors that are interested in buying it because the Vector portion works good. So Duhaney doesn't want anything to do with it because it's too old.
What do you think we can get for it?
He said get a scrap price on it and then advertise it in the paper and see if we get better than scrap for it. So,
Okay.
so that's our plan.
Thanks, Eric.
All right, thanks, Eric. All right, all those in favor of purchasing the truck, vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up is the assessor contract.
Earlier this year, the commission did an evaluation of the assessor. Her contract expired May 1st, 2015. She prepared this document, presented it to us for the agenda tonight. She's not with us, though. She's downstate renewing her certification. So the proposed contract is in front of you tonight. The assessor is an employee of the city commission, not under my direction on a daily basis. I just have two suggestions maybe for your consideration. On number 3, the city's invested a lot of money in our GIS program, and the base layer is the assessing parcel, the parcels from the assessing database. So that the accuracy of that layer is crucial for every other layer that goes on top of that. She doesn't mention anything about maintaining the GIS, records or working with GIS staff to maintain that. So just a suggestion there for, something like the assessor agrees to work with the GIS staff to assure the parcel layer, is maintained in a timely manner, something to that effect. And then number 5, she does have office hours every Tuesday here at City Hall. But I can tell you every Tuesday she goes from resident to resident, she's got a line at her door every day. So availability for staff, is kind of my situation. Periodically I need her to give me information for different things, and I know community development on the zoning side of things, we need access to the assessor as well. I know she mentions down further, $20 an hour upon request, but maybe if we can give her advance notice, could she give a couple extra hours or something in that situation? Just for your consideration.
Is the annual salary the same as she was being paid?
The last contract was $13.50 a parcel. It came to roughly $42,000. I'm not sure why she went to the flat dollar amount instead of per parcel.
Do we provide insurances for her?
No, she's a contract employee.
Well, then we shouldn't be calling it annual salary.
She's an independent contractor.
Well, annual salary is employee salary. Can't call it that.
We invest quite a bit into our GIS, and it only makes sense to keep it up to date. As far as I've been made aware of a few situations where city staff needed access to the assessor, and she was backed up with residents, and she wasn't able to get the information to city staff, which translated to information didn't come to us. So I would agree that both of those items need to be addressed, and if there needs to be an adjustment in the contract cost, then so be it, but we need, city staff needs access to the assessor, no question. And as much as we invest in GIS, that would be pointless if we didn't keep it up to date, so. As far as language to modify that,
Well,
think we should table
Darla,
it.
Darla actually, did you still want 4 hours?
I've got those notes. The
Okay.
base layer work with GIS staff and availability,
Yeah.
availability to city staff up to 4 hours per week.
Yeah.
Obviously, if she's busy, busy with residents, if we're asking to put 4 hours into her contract per week, there's gonna have to be some sort of a modification in her pay. So I don't know if we can act on this. I
Well,
mean,
would that be covered by the $20 an hour? Oh, as needed, as requested? If we
Yeah,
told her
I-
on Tuesday, she's, busy till we close, and we let her know, by next Tuesday, we need these 3 answers, then she can fit however much time she needs to answer those questions before the next Tuesday.
so should we move that to section 9?
Section 9, they talk about special projects, though. That $20 an
On
hour is for
special
special
projects,
projects,
yeah.
and it's not really a special project, it's information we need.
Well,
It could be, but
could be a
some,
special project.
yeah, I mean, a new development, I need to know an estimated assessed
So
value
that
or.
stuff's already covered then, under 9, special projects.
I think we should table this
Yeah.
until we have something in writing here that the city manager totally agrees to and can recommend 100%.
Do you agree to continue her services until that time?
Yes.
Okay. I'm comfortable with that.
Meeting or
What?
Well,
to the next meeting or?
Until we have a contract that is recommended totally by staff, by city manager. I can't make heads or tails out of this in here and GIS there and annual salary here and $20 an hour for special. And then, it's nowhere near voting on, in my opinion.
I would say Vicky's the one that came up with its contract,
Yep.
correct?
Yeah, she is an employee of the city commission. Yep.
I would move that I'm sorry, you already made a motion. Would you be interested in amending your motion?
In what way?
I would like to move that we provide these 2 points to Vicky and ask her to provide us with a proposed contract at whatever.
No, the city manager's here. I can't,
But she doesn't work for the city manager, she works for us,
city manager works for us.
as does the assessor.
That's fine. I just don't want to have a contract here that isn't what we want. And then we're talking about this and we're talking about that, and it's not clear. I just want to have a clear contract, everybody that we can agree on and then vote on it. If we need to meet with the assessor and negotiate, then that's something we ought to do, but we have a document here that this section isn't what we want, that section isn't what we want, special projects aren't what we want. I don't think it should have been on the agenda in the first place.
The assessor requested it be on the agenda.
Well,
because
then
she
the
doesn't have
assessor
a
should meet with
contract.
us.
When will the assessor be available to?
Will she be back July 27th?
Certification training right now, so, and not till the 20, she'll be here for the 27th, we could find out, I don't have her schedule.
I mean, especially with her schedule, I don't understand why we can't tell her, we need to add these 2 items into your contract, please add it and provide us with what you're requesting as additional cost, or specifically outline that it's $20 per hour when staff asks for your time. if they notify her that they need her for something specific, it's $20 an hour. I mean, it's really pretty cut and dry, but we need to get her involved in the conversation as part of the issue here.
There's a motion on the table, but there's no support.
What was the motion again?
To table until a contract is complete and agreed upon by the manager and assessor, and to continue her services presently, is what I have.
Is there a second? All right, it dies on the table. Is there any other motion?
I'd move that we contact the city assessor, ask for a modification of section 3 regarding working specifically on the base layer with GIS with staff, and a modification regarding availability to the city staff up to 4 hours per week, and have her provide us with a new proposed contract.
I'll second that. All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Gay and a support by Commissioner Bostwick to I don't know exactly what it is.
To
It's
contact-
3.
Contact the assessor
yeah.
with modifications to number 3, being the base layer with GIS to include that, and also availability to staff 4 hours per week, and to have a new contract presented with those modifications.
All right, any more discussion on that? All right, then, all those in favor of the motion, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose?
I'm not opposed, she's gonna give us a new contract.
Okay. Motion carries. All right. Next up is the Maple Ridge Administrative Service Agreement.
We've been working with Maple Ridge Township for administrative services. Attorney Don Bacon drafted the contract here. It has been approved by the Maple Ridge Township Board at their regular meeting, June 30th, 2015. We fully support the proposed agreement.
I move approval.
Support.
All right, got a motion by Commissioner Nemetchek and support by Commissioner Gay to allow the mayor and clerk to sign the Maple Ridge Township Administrative Service Agreement. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is the compost site security service contract, RFP quotes.
Good evening. Mr. Levine explained a little bit about what's been going on with the compost site. We've kind of reached a crossroads to some degree at the compost site, and I'll give a little history and just kind of go through that real quick, leading up to where we are right now. Last fall, Mr. Levine was in, and others had voiced some concerns over the compost site being a dump site, basically. Mandy Larson wrote a nice editorial about the toilets and the other things, and basically, making a joke out of what happened up there. So with that said, I was directed to put together a compost rules and get a sign posted. All right, so it all begins. It's like a big snowball. We're starting to roll the snowball here, and so we got a sign up there with some rules. The rules that were established. This is basically a copy of the sign. The rules were put together. Basically, I did my best guess about what should happen up there as far as a compost site. And I based it not only on my own personal beliefs, but also on other communities, what they've had to do to deal with these situations as well. So some of the stuff was just, based on that, just basic common sense. We installed a gate, put some rocks up to control access. In the meantime, the volunteers, Mr. Levine and the other volunteers, have probably put in well over than 800 hours since May. I mean, they put in a lot of time up there. And quite honestly, if they wouldn't have been there doing that, it probably still continued to be a dump. I mean, just because it's just a wide open field, basically. So, thank you, Mr. Levine, for doing that. Since May, I went up and measured it, even with my hop-along foot. I measured the site just to kind of give you a feel. Since May, what we've produced in waste up there. We have over 800 cubic yards of leaves and grass that have been brought up to the site. I don't know how to explain that. It's, it's just 800 cubic yards, just measure it up. Over 1,200 cubic yards of branches, tree waste, stuff like that. That's much larger. That's how much material has been brought to the site without the city having to lift a finger. That's materials that were in people's yards that are now up there. And Mr. Levine, with the volunteers' help, have ensured that there is no plastic bags in there. There's none of that waste in there. So we actually probably have our first rows of material that will produce a good quality. It has a chance at producing a good quality compost. The other stuff in the back behind that, Ken can tell you, is really not that. It's full of plastic bags and whatever else. So with that, we also put in a fee structure. Just kind of taking, again, educated guesses with the city manager. We charge non-residents $40, so that'd be like for Brampton Township, Escanaba Township. Darla put out some outreach to Brampton Township and got probably a little better response than I did when I reached out to Escanaba Township for residents' response. To date, we have about 70 non-residents that have actually purchased a $40 sticker for the year. We also put a fee in there of $400 for contractors to dump there. To date, we have had 0 contractors buy a sticker at all. Mr. Levine has indicated to me that the Delta County landfill has had 3 contractors total do that. So that's just kind of a snapshot about what's going on with fees and where we're at. So Mr. Levine is tired. You heard it earlier. I can staff, because of the union contract that's in place, I can only staff it during the week with a seasonal staff. If there's the union staff are not working, we cannot have someone up there as a seasonal employee. So like on the weekends, we can't do that per union contract at this point. So the hours are from 8 to 8, Thursday through Sunday. I don't know if those are the right hours, but that's what we went with, and that's where we're at. thinking that most of the people in town would use it on the weekends more than they would during the week. And we didn't want to leave it open 7 days a week because we can't possibly keep up with that, staffing it. It's really impossible. We've had a little bit of conflict with some folks up there. There's been some things that have happened. So that's kind of what leads up to where we're at right now. So we have this dilemma in place. The union contract will only allow certain stuff. We've had a little bit of conflict. We have people abusing the system, so to speak, sneaking in, taking other people's stickers. There's a lot of things going on like that. There just is. So Darla and city manager and I and the police chief have met several times to talk about this. And the only thing that Paul and I actually, feel good about is possibly hiring a security company to man that front of the gate when it's open. Checking stickers going in there, making sure they're residents, and making sure the right things are going on in there.
Are you talking full-time?
8 to 8, Thursday through Sunday.
You're talking 48 man-hours per week.
Mm-hmm. I'm open to whatever you want to talk about.
I'll start refiguring then.
Yeah. Well, it's a cost. We have a lot of people putting a lot of time there. We have a lot of people using it. Some of the people are doing the right thing. Some aren't doing the right thing. I think the bulk of the people are doing the right thing. I just do. But so it's a dilemma.
Could we use the seasonal employees during the week and the security people on the weekend?
Could.
Is that a possibility?
Yeah, it is.
It'd be a lot less expensive.
Well, I don't know if it's more. I don't know if it will be or not.
Maybe we might consider Saturday, but not Sunday.
Yeah, I'm open to whatever.
Yeah.
This has been like I've been walking around just
I
trying to
understand.
figure out what to do. It's just kind of a,
Yeah.
Just do the best I can, sort of thing. So yeah, some direction on that would be great. Just whatever you feel is right.
We felt at this point, though, we've already posted 8 to 8, Thursday through Sunday. I think we should finish the season with that, with those hours.
Right.
Maybe regroup this winter if we think other days would be better next year. That would be fine to consider. But how do we get through this
Yeah.
season?
Right. And that's
So
the
we
other
get
way.
a bid for how much it's gonna cost the security person to be there,
Mm-hmm.
and then you decide when the person's gonna be there.
Right.
He may only be there Saturday and Sunday.
Could be. Yeah.
Could be, maybe should be.
Yeah.
If we have a seasonal employee.
Yeah, well, they can't be there.
to
They can only be there, so that would mean we would have to change the hours on Thursday and Friday, so they'd only work till 3 or
Well, then the
3:30
security person could go in there at 3.
in the evening. Yeah, we
Yeah.
could do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can arrange it however.
I would guess the seasonal employee is gonna be a lot less expensive than the security person.
Yeah, I don't know, without going through that process.
Yeah, okay.
And we would have to go through that. We had a similar situation in Kalamazoo where I worked, where we had a security company locking up and doing the gates and stuff.
Okay.
Part of the reason locking up and doing that is there was always some level of conflict involved. Quite honestly, a young kid up there sitting at the
Oh,
gate.
you mean locking up was a level of conflict?
Yes.
Somebody was busy doing something?
Oh, in the parks? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
okay.
we had lots of stuff going on there.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, I think that because there is a little level of security, of that, authority, quite honestly, a 18-year-old kid compared to a security company, there's no authority.
Well, that worked out well if they could be there till 3 and then.
At the later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would help.
That worked out well.
So, yeah, but we can structure it however you want. Basically, what I want to do is put forth an RFP to share with you, to go forward from here, to go forward and do that. We'd actually have to get pricing and other things. I would suggest that it be a term contract, not just a one-year thing. I would suggest you go for at least a 3-year deal where you can, so you don't have to continually go through and get a new, alternating security companies are sometimes hard. That's just my suggestion on that. So that's what the compost site staffing is about. Looking for approval to move forward to put together an RFP to go out and get pricing to do this.
I guess my question would be, this is gonna come from the solid waste fund,
Mhm.
as far as cost. I just did a quick figure, and this is worst case scenario. Well, not per hour, but let's say that they build $15 an hour. They're paying a minimum wage person, they build $15, which is probably low. And if they were there, if they covered the entire shift, you're talking about 48 hours a week, it's a little over $22,000, and that's just for April 1st through November 30th, 48 hours per week. And that's at 15 per hour, so I would venture to say that if you're looking to cover that entire span, you're probably gonna be looking closer to $30,000 a year or better.
Yeah.
My question would be, is that something the solid waste fund could absorb? Because
Well-
I'm really, you know, we're getting into a situation where we're talking about the rest of the funds, primarily the general fund, but talking about other funds and responsible fund balances and that type of thing. Is this something that it's gonna be able to, is it gonna be a zero net?
I don't know. I can't answer that. We have 800 cubic yards of grass and leaves. We have 1,200 cubic yards of tree waste that are up there right now that we didn't lift a finger to deal with. What's gonna happen with that? I just don't know what the right answer is, you know, to deal
No,
with it.
I don't want you to misunderstand. I don't have a problem
Right.
with the compost site, but I don't want it to, I don't want the compost site itself maintaining it, I don't want that to be, to end up hurting the solid waste fund.
Right.
That being said, I don't want that stuff to pile up in town either.
Well,
So I just want to be responsible about how we deal with it, because I've heard a lot of positive things about what's going on up there, and I
Right.
want that to continue.
Right.
I just don't want to break the bank in the process, so, you know, and I don't,
agree.
frankly, I don't know anything about compost, so my understanding is it becomes valuable, but I don't know.
it's, you know, I don't think it's valuable in the terms of like producing soil and stuff like that, other than to homeowners that might want to come and take it and use it for free.
But it's not a marketable product.
No.
So we're not gonna see any revenue besides our fees, our stickers, and that type of thing out of it.
At best, I think we have to look at it as a way to take care of some of our solid waste issues in town, and make a little revenue from outside sources. I think we could maybe go a little bit more outside and do some more, you know, legwork to try to get a little more revenue from the outside sources. But yeah, break even probably is probably what.
That's great.
As much as we can try to do.
I think that's money well spent then, if we can get it to that.
Our budget right now on composting, you know, this year was $45,000 was our line item budget. Of that, 12,000 was city staff payroll, you know, so so you start to back those out. We do at this point have, you know, there's about 20-some thousand sitting there for contracted services and for equipment type rentals, or the equipment rentals is for back. So we do have a little money there, but yeah, I don't know where it's gonna land, Matt. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Mark,
just-
you said about 3 years. I think maybe we ought to just consider 1 year for starters. and
Well, I'm just
see where
saying.
that goes.
Well, I'm just saying, ask for a 3-year, a term contract, which you can terminate. I have a contract all wrote up.
Okay.
And it will protect us to be able to get out of it.
After 1 year, we could terminate.
We could terminate and get out of it,
Okay.
yep.
And the
Yeah.
benefit to that is maintaining the same cost per year for 3 years.
Exactly.
It locks in your
Exactly.
cost, yeah.
And that-
Exactly right.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good service that the city needs to continue to provide, as long as our solid waste fund does not get into peril.
Right,
So,
yeah.
It should be noted that Escanaba closed theirs when Delta County opened theirs. I'm not suggesting we close ours, but
Well, I
just so
think,
we know what our neighbors are doing and what services we're providing to our citizens that other people aren't.
yeah.
I make a motion that we allow the manager to solicit for bids and proceed with the security people.
support?
All right, motion by Commissioner Nemecheck and support by Commissioner Gay to solicit bids for security service to monitor the compost site. Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is the compost site user fees.
We also had, we talked about user fees a little bit. Again, I'm trying my best to put together rules and stuff like that for this, and taking my shot at how to best structure fees and stuff like that. And, you know, one of the fees we put in there was $400 for contractors to utilize the site. As I mentioned, not one has signed up for anything at all. I do feel that contractors need to pay more than a non-resident, just because they generate a lot of waste. And as a, you know, as a, they just generate a lot of waste, and they go all over the place. They're not just a Gladstone company. I mean, so they go all over, and we can't guarantee that they are producing just Gladstone waste. So with that said, Delta County landfill, they have actually their fees at $250 for commercial users. And then they also have a fee of $10 per large truckload, like a separate fee. So I would like to at least copy's not the right word, but I use their model as fees for that at this point. Now, just the only thing is they may raise, if they raise their fees, you know, we heard of what Delta County's going through. I mean, they may not be able to do this either. So we're at we'll see what they end up doing. So we may need to alter it down the road, or ask to alter it. So keep that at that point. I do not recommend changing the rules though at this point. I think that would be too much. Plus, just personally, I like our rules better, just because I think they add a little more bite to it, so we're not dealing with a mess up there. So, anyways, so that's what that's about.
I guess my question, my understanding was originally putting that at $400 a year was to discourage commercial use of our, you know, our facility that all the Gladstone City residents pay for, by getting down and competing with the Delta landfill, who was here 2 meetings ago stating that they've got financial issues. I don't know that, I mean, I don't know that that's, I would be more inclined to discourage that usage by keeping a higher fee, because it's for Gladstone City residents. Is that out of line with what you were thinking, or is there a reason why you recommended altering this?
Well, I was in the landscape tree industry for about 10 years of my life, in the private industry. I know what happens there, and I know how much money they make. I know how they operate. And that is usually a fee that's built right into their cost. When we're providing a site for nothing, that profit doesn't get charged back to the city or to anyone that lives here. It just is profit in their pockets, and we have to go clean it up. So yes, Matt, a little bit of that, my original thinking was like, was that the purpose of that site to begin with? And that's why I came up with the $400. Is like, they have a place to go down the road if they want. We don't really have the facility or the setup to deal with that. And I also had originally didn't want the tree companies in there either, just because of the amount of solid waste. Now I changed that too, just to allow them to come in, but following our rules, not what's just like what Delta County does. Because Delta County takes stumps, they take all this stuff. I'm saying just branches cut up. They have to come when we're open, and that's it. And they may not want to do that even at $250. If someone's up at the front gate looking at actual passes and driver's licenses, and if they aren't from here and they don't have the right credentials and they're asked to leave, that'll curb some of that.
So I guess is your thought then that you think that this is going to increase revenue to the to the compost site?
Again, I've had both sides. You know, you get it from both ends a little bit here. Some people want that, some people don't, and so I really don't know the right answer. But I thought as long as Delta County has something in place that we can go to, we'll start with that, and we may need to alter that. I mean, but
I think he's thinking nobody's paying the 400, maybe somebody will pay the 250. I
Right,
think that's what he's thinking.
but
That's
I'm just-
part of it.
But I guess you have to weigh, is it worth the revenue for the additional stuff to manage?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out where you're coming from with this modification, so.
Well, we have someone down the road doing one thing. There's so many suggestions.
But we've had complaints, 400's too much, from contractors. We had a meeting with a couple commissioners, I feel they supported the 250, maybe they thought 400 was too much.
I thought 400 was too much myself.
Yep.
Well, I guess it depends what you're trying to do. If you're trying to generate revenue, okay. If you're trying to keep it, keep it specifically for city residents, then, opening it up at that point, because again, I thought that $400 that you proposed originally was to discourage usage, so.
I quite honestly don't know, once we get going here, the $40 may be too light. I think we're gonna have to look at all this as we, on a yearly
Establish some
basis.
data first.
At the end of the year.
I'm good either way. I mean,
Yeah.
just trying to figure out where,
So if we start where they're at, we didn't start where they're at, but go down to where they're at, move forward, and see what happens.
I'll move for the 250.
support.
All right, got a support, motion by Commissioner Nemecheck and support by Commissioner Gay to charge $250 a year for landscape and lawn service contractor and allow tree service companies to utilize the site. Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Mark. Commissioner Gay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. All right.
Thanks, Mark.
Next is the Superior Trade Zone member and alternate.
We are at the point now with the Superior Trade Zone. We are appointing board members. The governor finally approved our proposal to have Delta County and Marquette County basically combine our efforts and need some board members before we can have our first meeting. Looking at appointing myself as the member, and Renee Barron has offered to be the alternate. Looking at meeting, I think, to start every other month.
Sounds good.
I'd move approval. Support.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Gay, support by Commissioner Thompson to appoint Darla and Renee. Darla is a voting member, Renee as the alternate for the Superior Trade Zone. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is the city manager's report.
Just a couple comments tonight. You'll see the officer in the back is our new officer, Aaron Quinlan. First time he's had a chance to attend a commission meeting. Nice to put a face with a name, so welcome, Aaron.
Thank you.
DDA meeting, regularly scheduled meeting tomorrow morning has been canceled. We don't have a quorum. EDC for tomorrow has been canceled. I didn't call a meeting, so no problem with the quorum there. I just didn't call a meeting. Reminder, town hall meeting tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, and I will be out of town this weekend. That's all I have.
All right. Any city commission or committee reports? Or board and commission reports? All right. Next up is the public comments on items not on the agenda.
Richard Juno, 707 29th Street. I live on the drag strip here in Gladstone. I give each one of you one of these. That's on the Cape Girardeau Splash to Unveil. This is about a water park. This city started in 2010. And its footprint was 6 acres. They figured 5 years they would pay it off. It paid itself off in 1 year. And that's why I keep harping on getting a water slide here in Gladstone. It's a money maker. Now they're gonna put an additional 1.3 million into this park. Now, Cape Girardeau's a little bigger than Gladstone. And they don't have to go and find a developer. But that's what Gladstone's gonna have to do, is find a developer to come in here with money that he wants to spend. And this can be done. And he might keep the ski slope, and he might keep the tube slide. But you gotta go out there and look for them. They're not gonna come here begging to you. And that's about all I have on that. You have a nice marsh down there for people to bird watch. Got a nice outlook. Who's been down there? Who's in charge of maintaining that place? Anybody? Who's supposed to?
Just a small portion of that is the cities. The Conservation District has a lease agreement with the state of Michigan for that. So it's the Delta County Conservation District.
So the city has nothing to do with it.
We have a small portion in the northwest corner of it.
Who's responsible for that road that goes through there?
Conservation District.
Well, they got a problem there because they had that road open. I was down there about 6 weeks ago, and as soon as I parked there, 3 dirt bikes come through there. They run up, went underneath the overpass, come back, went back. They were just harassing me, that's all. So there's a problem there. Another problem is, I know, Darla, you said the city trail goes underneath that overpass. That is against the law. If you look, seen in the paper, at the beginning of this spring, it showed a train and a four-wheeler. And that four-wheeler was up on the grade. And it said, this is not only dangerous, it's against the law. And that's what's happening there. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Juno. Anyone else? All right, next is city commissioner comments. Commissioner Nemetchek?
I've been on the commission now for almost 2 years. I'm pretty convinced that we can't really, the biggest expense for the city is people. We can't cut, we had 50-some employees, we're now down in the high 30s. We can't cut a whole lot more expense out of people and still be full service. Obviously, I'm concerned about the fund balance in the general fund and what we're gonna have to do to keep ourselves afloat. So, I don't think the answer is cut a whole lot more expenses. I think the answer is that we're gonna have to ask for millage, and we're gonna have to ask the public to support millage to help keep our head above water. That's all.
All right, Commissioner Thompson?
I'd like to encourage everybody to come to the town hall meeting tomorrow night. I've been at 3 of them now, and I seem to learn something new at every one of them, so it's nice to see that we're getting pretty good turnout, but it could be a lot better. Thanks for coming.
All right, Commissioner Gay?
I have nothing tonight.
And I don't have anything either. So it's city clerk comments.
I have some things. Let's see. The books that you found in your mailboxes, that was from the MSU extension training that we had on for effective leadership and training. It was held at the DDA building down there a month or so ago, and that was the book that was recommended there. So I did get those for you. The MML convention is coming up in September 16th through the 18th. If there's any of the commissioners that are interested in attending that, you need to let me know. Registration for that closes middle to end of August, but the key there is to get you into the host hotel where it's at. It's being held in Traverse City, so it's not way down in Lansing, but it is downstate. So get with me if you're interested in that. And then also too, we do have a regular city commission election coming up November 3rd. There are 2 seats that will be open or be seeking re-election. They are 4-year terms for each of those seats. The petitions for those, for anybody who wants to run on the ballot, the deadline for that is July 21st at 4 p.m. So if you're interested in running or know of somebody, please send them my way because the deadline is coming up to get on the ballot. There is a write-in. After that passes, there is a timeline to get on the ballot, or not to get on the ballot, but to be a candidate as a write-in. But that has been more difficult, you know, to do that. So I encourage, if you're interested, please come talk to me. I have the forms in my office. And that is it.
All right.
Has anyone filed for that?
Yep, I have 1 candidate that has filed, and another one that has pulled the petitions but has not returned it. So, and 2 others undecided.
All right. Meeting's adjourned.